Hey, what's going on YouTube? And welcome back to Coffee Shop Chatter with Mr. Controversy. So, the big news now is this Afghanistan withdrawal debacle that happened in 2021. So, I can tell you it's the current administration, Biden and Kamala Harris, who, as I said, she's always the last person in the room, who then open her mouth and say, hey, sir, I don't think this is a good idea. And it's because she don't understand military tactics and how we actually operate when we close down any type of fob in withdrawn from a country. It's never done at 100% withdrawal. It's done in phases. So I was in Afghanistan 2019 to 2020. I left July of 2020. I was in Kabul. I was at New Camp Vance, which was a very small compound, mostly, comprised mostly of special op guys, rangers, stuff like that. January 2020, we were told, which already came out by President Trump, saying we was going to leave Afghanistan. So we had to everything had to get shut down. Bagram, both, well, the actual larger camp at Kabul where the actual incident happened, and then Camp Vance to include the small little outpost fobs that we had. Trump had told the Taliban we will pull out. He will pull our troops out, but it wasn't supposed to be done at 100%. He also told them we're gonna leave a small percentage here, but if any attack happens against any U.S. soldier, so which means if they attacked us in any form or fashion, pretty much we was just going to annihilate them. That is like what was put out. So everyone, depending on which of department where you worked at, you had to come up with a plan of reducing the footprint within Afghanistan. So we was being replaced by 10th Mountain, and before they came, we had to come up with an idea for numbers because there was a specific number that was going to be of personnel that was going to be left in Afghanistan. We came down to that number. We said, no, hey, we had to have this many people here. So for my section, I say, hey, we can get away with one here, but we can have one doing OTH somewhere else. But they just want to be in Afghanistan. That was how we was going to operate. That went out the window. Not because of Trump, because of Biden. Once that they transition, well, I say transition to power, he had everything he needed. The Joint Chief of Staff and at that time whoever was the CENTCOM commander, she already told us, hey, sir, this is what prior President Trump had number wise. This is what his plan was. So I'm pretty sure he was briefed on all that. But because there's so much disdain by Biden and everybody else, he probably was like, fuck him, I'm gonna do it my way. We taking everybody out. He wanted to pull everybody out. That is why them soldiers died unnecessarily. You had 82nd Airborne was the ones who actually did the withdrawal. They briefed us. I was then at Army Cyber, so that was 2022. They came to Army Cyber. They gave us a brief because we want our CG want to know like what the hell happened. So they was telling us, hey, this is what happened. So one, rules of engagement, they didn't have any. There was no one giving these guys direction on the ground on what the hell to do. That's why if you actually seen it, you had all these civilians come here, climb on C-130s trying to get on the plane. No one was vetted. You had all that equipment was left. The first thing we do, we start moving our equipment because there were some places that already started moving out of equipment. I'm not going to say when it's getting done, but it was being done because because of my job, it was certain things we was doing to support them in order for birds to land and get out with no problem. So that was the first problem. one of the many problems. If say that. We was also told that by the W4 that was there, the CW4, was that they direct the soldiers like, hey, dismantle as much stuff as you can. So all the helicopters that weren't Apaches, there were helicopters that were left for like the Afghan army. They went in there, start cutting wires, pulling harnesses, take stuff with. That's what they was doing. They took as much MVGs and stuff like they was just throwing in bags, trying to get as much of that equipment out of there as they could. But it was a shit show, basically, from the brief that they gave us and the stuff they showed. It was a shit show. There was no direction of how this pullout was supposed to happen. It was just, bam, we going in, we getting about 82nd. Unfortunately, the ones was tagged, and unfortunately, we lost 13 service members. Because you have people that sitting in places that shouldn't have. One, I'm going to say the damn election was stolen. I don't believe Biden got that many fucking votes. I don't believe it. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and watch this video that that came from Fox News. But it's basically them talking about what happened as far as who's pretty much is going to be the scapegoat. Because somebody, Biden's not going to dig. And they're going to try to put everything on Trump. But like I said, any of you who actually was in Afghanistan from 2019 to 2020, you know exactly what was going on in the meetings that was going on as far as the withdrawal and the directives that was given as far as the amount of personnel we actually was going to leave there still, because it was not going to be an 100% withdrawal.
A Republican-led House committee has subpoenaed Secretary of State Antony Blinken over his role in the disastrous 2021 Afghanistan withdrawal that killed 13 U.S. service members. In a letter to Blinken, House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Mike McCall writing, quote, "Current and former State Department officials have confirmed that you served as the final decision maker for the department on the withdrawal and evacuation. You are therefore in a position to inform the committee's consideration of potential legislation aimed at helping prevent the catastrophic mistakes of the withdrawal."
A spokesperson for the State Department criticized the move, calling it yet another unnecessary subpoena. Morgan Ortagus is a former State Department spokesperson under the Trump administration, and she joins us now. Morgan, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So what do you think about the subpoena? So far, the State Department is saying thanks, but no thanks. Antony Blinken's not showing up on that date. So what happens next?
Well, he absolutely should have to testify before this. I know that they will argue that he's been under oath and discussed Afghanistan many times, but we know that there's still so much that hasn't been answered for. And the one thing that we have to remember is that we have seen chaos and war in almost every theater in the globe. And one of the reasons I think principally that happened is because of the chaotic and disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Whenever the world saw that the United States was weak, we had dictators and despots that knew that they could take advantage of us. So I think the subpoena is incredibly important. Antony Blinken, everybody, by the way, the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, the National Security Advisor, everybody and Biden's national security team should have to answer for what happened that day. It's not just about that disaster and chaotic withdrawal. It's the fact that 13 Americans were killed in that ISIS-K attack. And we also know, we were told that we would still have over the horizon strikes that the administration would be able to pursue. Well, we know that ISIS-K has a foothold now in every single province in Afghanistan. We know that women are no longer allowed to go to school, that they have to cover themselves. We know that we have billions of dollars of equipment that were left there. And because Biden and Harris, and remember that the vice president bragged about being the last one in the room with President Biden making those decisions, because they never held anybody accountable in their national security team, you've seen the same national security team fumble their way through so many wars and crises since then. So I think it's long overdue for somebody in this administration to be held accountable. If they're not going to be held accountable by Biden and Harris, they should at least be under oath and held accountable to the American people for what happened.
Morgan, from its reticence in answering questions like you just mentioned, to the way it handled over just the last week, how it handled Gold Star families trying to grieve their loved ones, many of times their own children, at Arlington National Cemetery. Isn't it clear that this administration just wants this disastrous withdrawal to go away? One, to sort of, I guess, help Joe Biden's legacy, but also not to, quote unquote, sully Kamala Harris as she tries to win the presidency.
So I'm going to just end it right there. But there's no reason why these 12 individuals, 13 individuals should have been killed. I mean, literally, just take responsibility. Just say, hey, I fucked up. I mean, plain and simple. There's nothing going to happen to it. It's not like he's going to be, throw her in front of some type of court or anything that's happened. Just say, I fucked up. Kamala Harris said, I fucked up. Because guaranteed, tonight, during the debate, this is going to come up. I guarantee you, it's going to come. They're going to ask her. Because she's quick to say, I'm the last person in the room. And any true leader, or those who's been in a position of leadership, when something's don't look right, you speak up. You will say something. And then the person just blow you off, hey, that it's off your hands. That's on, now that falls on them. But because she didn't say nothing, hey, I'm a firm believer in silence is compliance. If you silent about something, you agree with it. So the death of these soldiers, it's on their hands, both of them. All they had to do is follow the plan that was already laid out. But like I say, some people have so much disdain for some people. They how you say, cut their nose, spite their face. That's what they do. That's what they would do. But hey, I just want to know, what you guys think about this whole thing. And before you get out here, hit the subscribe button, just like it. It just gets the video in the algorithm. And, comment. I'd like to know how many of you were over there during that time when the actual discussion of the drawdown was, put out. What part you may have played or may haven't played. If you heard anything, like I said, we were directed how many people were allowed was going to stay over there total across the force. And certain areas were going to stay there. Certain departments or sections, depending on where you were at, had to leave people there for certain reasons. So, like I said, let me know what you think about it. And as always, I'll comment all your little snarl remarks. I'm gonna let you know, YouTube, depending on the words that you use, YouTube they're not going to publish your comment. I'm gonna just let you know that right off the rip. So don't think it's, you're silencing people. No, that's what your current administration is trying to do. They're the ones that's trying to silence people. I don't try to silence nobody. YouTube will block, they will not allow your comment to post. And it's just off words that more likely you said something disrespectful or because you just don't know how to use your words. I'm just assuming that's what it is. But hey, I'm out of here and I'll see you around.